Back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel. I'd like to welcome all of you back. And in a couple of days, we are going to be back uploading and broadcasting from the Nibiru channel. The royalty at YouTube has decided to suspend our uploads for 14 days. So we are about 10 days into this already. So within the next couple of days, we will be back to uploading all of our informational videos onto our main channel. I do highly recommend that you subscribe to Planet X News. Make sure you set your notifications because we're also going to be broadcasting live on Planet X News, and we're also going to be uploading additional information and videos on this channel. So make sure that you subscribe, set your notifications, because over the last couple of days, I've been getting a lot of emails from subscribers of mine that have been telling me that they're not receiving notifications, and some of the European viewers are having a hard time finding the channels and the information. So we're not sure, once again, if this whole censorship crap has started again, but I guess we will find out sooner or later. But the information that I'm going to bring to you today is an article that was written by a researcher back in, I believe, 2015. And we're going to go ahead and get to that information in a minute. I'm just setting some things up right now. But over the last couple of days, a lot of things have happened within, I would say, my little Nibiru Planet X community. I've spent the last several days educating myself on brown dwarf stars and also continuing to dig for information on Planet X, if that's what you want to call it. I guess whenever you start to research things like this, you have to start from the very beginning. You cannot just jump right into this and think that you're going to find everything that you need. One thing that I've found is that there is a tremendous amount of disinformation that has been passed along for quite some time. We're getting to the bottom of it. I have gotten together with professionals, so I'm able to get professional information. I'm not a physicist or an astrophysicist or an astronomer by any means. I would consider myself to be an intelligent individual. I've teamed up with several people, as I've mentioned last night in our live stream. We're going to be producing credible scientific papers and research that is being conducted on brown dwarf stars in and around our solar system. Now, the team that I'm assembling, well, these individuals are not the only ones that are investigating brown dwarf stars. As I mentioned last night, this investigation has been going on for probably the last 10 years. The last 5 years, it has been very in-depth. The information will continue to flow in. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And we're going to get into an article that I found just yesterday. This was on Global Research. I'll leave a link in the description box later on for this article if you'd like to go through it yourself. Read it. It's very in-depth. Now, the information provided here is going to take you through a step-by-step on the Nemesis solar system, the theories, the people that were involved, very in-depth. So we'll just go right into this. It states, speculating and theorizing about the existence of yet undiscovered planets in our solar system has been bounced around for centuries. Prior to each discovery of another outer planet has come to detections of other anomalies in our solar system. And for instance, before Neptune's existence was determined, for decades, astronomers had been theorizing that Uranus, discovered in 1781, had irregular movements. They may have been caused by the presence of yet another undiscovered planet. Indeed, that was the case in 1846 when Neptune was first sighted and identified. And then it goes on to talk about Pluto being dethroned by the Astronomical Society. They kicked Pluto, poor little Pluto, they just kicked it right out of the solar system. But getting back into Planet X research, ladies and gentlemen, you know, way before we were involved in this Planet X research, placing it into social media and on YouTube, there were scientists with incredible educations and huge IQs that were investigating and researching this. Now, going all the way back to 1940, Chilean astronomer Carlos Muñoz Ferrada predicted accurately that the powers that be would attempt to cover up Planet X when it comes barreling towards the Earth. Ferrada referred to Nibiru Planet X as a comet planet because it had the size of a planet, but the speed and the elliptical orbit of a comet. Now, we haven't been able to really get into Carlos Ferrada's research, all of his scientific papers. I mean, that would be fantastic to have a group of physicists or astrophysicists, astronomers, actually take all of his work for all of those years and go through it now in 2017. I'm sure that NASA has probably gotten their hands on this information, and I'm sure that they have probably scrutinized it, and I'm sure they're probably using it today. Now, this has been highly controversial since the very beginning. And then a gentleman by the name of Zecharia Sitchin, well, he comes rolling along, and he's an author, a writer, a researcher. And then he comes out with a book called The 12th Planet. This goes all the way back to his research in these ancient Sumerian tablets, translating them. And these Sumerians lived over 6,000 years ago. Did he make some mistakes in these translations? It is highly possible. Is this where the theory of the name Nibiru came from? Most likely. Did he play this up for book sales? It's possible. Anything is possible. Moving on through the article, it states that the sun in our solar system is similar to 90% of the solar systems in the Milky Way galaxy. All part of binary star systems containing more than one sun. We've talked about binary solar systems before. We pretty much know what they are. It further states that the Planet X system can be considered a mini constellation consisting of our sun's twin, classified as a brown dwarf star called Nemesis. Now, as I mentioned last night, I don't know who coined the name Nemesis for this constellation slash little mini solar system. Further states that this dark star is largely invisible, even with infrared, due to its surroundings of red iron oxide dust. There is a huge cloud that forms around these older brown dwarf stars. Going into further research that I've been doing and learning a lot more about these brown dwarf stars, thanks to all of the research that has been conducted over the last 10 years, specifically over the last 5 years. But there is still a lot of work to do as far as that research goes. Do we have all of that time? I don't think so. There is too much mounting evidence moving towards the fact that we have more than one planetary body that has moved into our solar system. They have already found clusters of brown dwarf and red dwarf stars all around our solar system. That's actually kind of alarming, because these brown dwarf stars they're very large. They compare them to the size of Jupiter. They call it a hot Jupiter. So these scientists and these astrophysicists and astronomers, I think they know a hell of a lot more than what they're telling us. That much is a fact. Now, going all the way back, just taking a little step back in time, the article goes on and it talks about in 1990, researcher, author Zecharia Sitchin interviewed the supervising astronomer of the U.S. Naval Observatory, Mr. Robert Harrington, and they met to discuss Harrington's recent discovery of the red Planet X planet. Now, Harrington had set up a special telescope observatory in New Zealand to track Planet X. But the renowned head of the Naval Observatory suddenly died mysteriously at the age of 50 of a rare form of cancer under suspicious circumstances. His wife is convinced that he was murdered for allegedly leaking too much information about Planet X. They whacked him. The man died of esophageal cancer, never smoked a cigarette in his life, took care of himself, went through routine naval physicals, passed every one of them, had no major medical problems, but yet he just drops dead from esophageal cancer. Makes you wonder. We've heard the information about astronomers and scientists who have dug into the Planet X nemesis theory, mysteriously ending up dead. I think we're at the count right now of about 126 of them. Well, that's a lot. It further states that 2 years after Sitchin and Harrington interviewed, and just months prior to Harrington's January 1993 death, a NASA press release was still publicly embracing Nibiru Planet X as being real. Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear what I just said? A NASA press release. They actually came out and divulged the information. The information was also published in the Washington Post newspaper, and then later retracted when they figured, oh my, that's in the Washington Post newspaper. We better get that out of there. Retract the statement, blah, 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 blah. Same thing they did with Roswell. Alien spaceship crashes. They report it. People are hearing about it. And then a few days later, they say, oh, all of that debris, oh, that was just a weather balloon. Well, we know how they cover things up. Seems like they just run in sheer paranoia. Then it says also in 1992, a confident NASA scientist named Mr. Raymond T. Reynolds went on the record proclaiming that astronomers are sure of the 10th planet. Now, this is before they kicked little Pluto out of the system. They think that there is nothing left but to name it. NASA, at the time, did everything but scream Nibiru from the mountaintops. Because these men and women at NASA were investigating this planetary system, whether it be a brown dwarf or the ancient mini solar system constellation that Zecharia Sitchin speaks of, that Carlos Ferrada spoke of, that Dr. Robert Harrington found in his research. But then the silence began. So you have to start to wonder, why did they try and cover all of this up? It's just a sign of the times, ladies and gentlemen. When you don't know what to do, when you get, as you say, caught with your pants down, well, then you try to cover it up. You try to lie. And that's basically what they've done for the last 30-some years. It's one lie after another. It further goes on to state, ever since Dr. Harrington's untimely death, with few exceptions, the lid has been tightly sealed on all of the information. They locked it up. Goes on to say the elite ensure that hired shills and planted to busily churn out concentrated disinformation campaigns, smearing lies to prevent the story never gets out there, and it never gets full disclosure. That's when they start hiring and training these debunkers. And when I mean they train them, they train them. They have a handbook. They put together very sophisticated psyops and campaigns to start to discredit this information. If you think I'm full of it, well, just go into Google and type in government shills, S-H-I-L-L, or government trolls. There will be several credible articles that have come up. A few whistleblowers have actually stepped out and talked about it. Under the veil of secrecy, these people would be targets for, you know what I mean. And then as time has gone on, more disinformation and pre-programming of your mind started to occur. The whole Mayan prophecy information, the 2012 apocalyptic, cataclysmic, whatever you want to call it. And then they start putting out movies depicting worldwide chaos and destruction, pre-programming your mind. This article goes into all of this information. This is a great article that this gentleman wrote. It further goes on here and states, the effects of such a large celestial body as Nibiru Planet X, estimated to be 4 to 8 times the size of Earth, re-entering our solar system, is generating off-the-chart internet frenzy in 2015, convinced it will cause enormous amounts of huge size space debris, asteroids, comets, meteors, zipping into the inner solar system from the asteroid belt, possibly impacting Earth. Now, we've seen major increases over the last 2 years, specifically throughout 2016 and going into 2017, with the discovery of more than 17,000 and counting near-Earth objects. So we're not only under the threat of the possibilities and theories of a brown dwarf being within our inner solar system, we are also under the threat of an impact from a large asteroid, meteor, or comet. Now, you cannot deny that the increase in meteor activity is there. It's there. We've all seen the video footage from Chelyabinsk, Russia. We all saw what happened. Excuse me. As far as the scientific evidence goes, rather dig into the ancient mythology or biblical prophecy, as so much of this current speculation about Nibiru, it already covers a lot of this information. This presentation will limit its focus to reviewing the most tangible, credible pieces of scientific evidence, supported by astronomers and astrophysicists, who in recent years have risked destroying their careers, their reputations, and their lives promoting their controversial findings, and their conclusions. It just seems as of lately, no one really wants to come out and talk about it. Yes, we have our truthers that are out there, but we're not getting to everyone. I'm sure if there was a NASA press conference or a presidential press conference, and they came right out and said what was happening, what their findings were, what they were going to do, people would listen. But their biggest fear is losing control, global panic. They don't want that. They must maintain control. This article goes on to further state this highly controversial Planet X system entering our solar system with potential catastrophic implications was first featured in the Washington Post article way back in 1983. NASA's Infrared Astronomical Telescope found the mysterious planet, possibly as large as Jupiter, near the constellation Orion. They found it. They observed it. They photographed it. Now it says researcher, activist, Mr. John Moore, and this man's fantastic. I've listened to him many, many times. He has long asserted that a number of his inside ex-military and government intelligence sources have independently confirmed that a top secret meeting took place in 1979 in New Orleans in a briefing room. Excuse me. And in this briefing room, there were the highest ranking U.S. naval flag officers, and they were being briefed on the Planet X disaster that would occur sometime within their lifetime. Could you imagine being a fly on the wall in this briefing? John Moore, very, very credible, worked for the U.S. military. He was in the service. He's given plenty of seminars on all of this information, and I would have to say very in-depth. If you want to research John Moore, just, go to YouTube in their search engine, type in John Moore Planet X, listen to some of his conferences and seminars, and it's very eye-opening, very detailed information. This further goes to say that in October of 2013, a highly significant and telling Department of Defense sponsored government paper was published called An Abrupt Climate Change Scenario and its implications for the United States national security. This is when they started to get paranoid. This is when they were trying to formulate a plan. What are we going to do? 365 million people plus living in the United States, our neighbors to the north in Canada, our neighbors to the south in Mexico, Central America, and South America, our neighbors across the Atlantic over in Europe, the whole world. What are we going to do? Well, a lot of the people that were involved in this in the very beginning, they're probably dead by now. If they're not dead by now, they're very, very old. But more and more information started leaking out. And then information was being found on the stereo satellite from the images. People started investigating, started finding this information. They weren't scientists. They were journalists. A very nice lady from the New York Times started her investigation back in 2005, finding very credible information. She was posting the information and her thoughts on a website. No sooner than she would upload the proof and the information, somehow, some way, it was being deleted from her website. After hampering her efforts to bring the information to the forefront, I believe that she basically went undercover and has not uploaded anything for the last 5, 6, 7 years. She probably felt very threatened. Now, the rest of this article goes into a lot of different information about geoengineering with the chemtrails, HAARP, weather modification, why they're doing it, their thoughts behind it, and other periodicals that were placed out there for the public. Like, for instance, back in 2010, mainstream UK newspaper The Telegraph did a story entitled Search On for the Death Star that throws out deadly comets. So they slowly started to leak some information out. And I think that this is how things are going to be conducted very soon. They're going to start leaking out more information little by little. They're doing this right now with the alien extraterrestrial agenda. They're leaking out a little bit of information on what they're doing in the Antarctic. We know that's a fact. A lot of things to cover, ladies and gentlemen. It's very easy for these people that think they are debunkers, and it's very easy for these people who troll YouTube channels and try to discredit you. It is very easy for them to be the so-called armchair quarterback and sit there and spew their garbage into your ear. But when you see clearly what is happening globally around the world, you're seeing it with your own eyes. You can't make up a flood. You can't make up a tsunami that just rolls into a beach, scares the living hell out of people. You can't fake the earthquakes. However, they are downplaying the magnitude. They're skewing the information and the results. You definitely can't hide the fact of the climate chaos. Middle of December, people are running around in shorts on the East Coast, ready to go out and play golf. The grass stayed green the whole entire winter. The birds didn't fly south for the winter. We have massive amounts of animal die-off that's been going on for several years. What is that all about? You see it in the media here and there, but we're never given the root cause. They just say, oh, okay, 10,000 fish washed up on the shore of this country. That's all you hear about it. Well, what happened to the little fish? 10,000 birds drop out of the sky all at one time. You see that on the news, but do you see a follow-up report stating what happened to these little birdies? No, because they know damn well what has happened. The information is out there. You're not just going to find it on YouTube. This article goes on further. Back in May of 2012, Planet X astronomer Rodney Gomes of Rio de Janeiro's National Observatory in Brazil. He presented new evidence of the mysterious planet at a meeting of the American Astronomical Society. He demonstrated that these icy objects outside of Neptune's orbit in the Oort cloud, displaying irregular movement that cannot be explained by known mathematical laws of astrophysics, but can be by the gravitational influence of so-called Planet X. Now they have a whole entire disinformation campaign out there about this ridiculous Planet 9 that's 20,000 years away, that they've never even seen, they've never photographed. Planet 9 is a theory, a mathematical theory. Planet 9 is not doing anything to our planet. But we do have something within our solar system that is affecting our sun, and therefore that is affecting our planet. The planet that we live and breathe, this is our planet. This goes on to talking about then in November of 2012, and then in January of 2015, more and more information starts to come out. Talks about another team of astronomers back in 2014 researching Sedna, researching the reasons why all of a sudden all of these objects are coming at us from the Oort cloud, asteroids, meteors, comets. Something perturbed them, meaning something has disturbed their orbits and their motions, and like a shotgun full of buckshot, sending all of that directly to the inner solar system. And then the changes that are occurring around the world as far as this climate change. They knew this was going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. They knew that there was going to be a very big climate change. If this object started to interfere with the Earth, well, both of these objects are highly magnetic. Therefore, they're going to start to pull and tug on each other. Eventually, the Earth is going to lose the battle and possibly tilt us a little bit, and that would definitely cause some very crazy weather. I mean, we're already seeing this around the world. I don't have to sit there and keep on plugging this into your head. What I am concerned with, and the fact of the matter is that the disinformation campaigns that have been pushed forth, you just don't believe this. Don't believe what these idiots are trying to tell you. They'll sit there and they'll tell you, oh, Scott's crazy. These people are crazy. These scientists are fake. Well, you know what's fake. You're fake. The people that are telling you this disinformation, they are the ones that are fake. We've already seen a massive increase in earthquake activity throughout 2016 and going into 2017. We've already seen very severe issues with our magnetosphere. You know, we keep monitoring this situation, but now, you know, these are computer animated models that we're looking at. Now we're actually starting to wonder if what we're looking at is real, because they have the ability to skew everything. So if we're watching a computer animated model, now what's to say that what they're showing us is not the correct information? I'm going to be coming out today with a paper written by a renowned physicist, and it's going to be talking about the magnetosphere collapse that was actually caught by a lot of people. Our magnetosphere protects us from solar wind and solar radiation. It collapsed. It reversed. Why? Well, immediately when this happened, NASA came out and said, oh, it was a computer glitch. Software. Oh, it broke down. That really didn't happen. Come on. We know it happened. Then again, it happened in October 2016. The statement that came out, same damn thing. So when something occurs, it's always a glitch. I hate that word. It's always a glitch. You know, we have another satellite out there that watches the sun, part of the stereo spacecraft. We watch some of the footage. We get a lot of information from it. We've caught NASA doctoring the photographs. One of the craft that we would be getting fantastic views from has been disabled. They said that it was so severely damaged, it's broken. We can't see anything anymore from that craft. We'll give you the other craft to look at where you can't really see that much. But yet we still do find things. We still do monitor everything. But now coming into play, they have the ability to manipulate all of this. So again, it's very hard to discern what we're actually looking at. Are we looking at the truth, or are we looking at something that they have doctored? Well, there have been several people out there already that have found and proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that back a few years ago, they weren't really getting technical about hiding it. They were actually using a black magic marker to cover up some of this, adding some contrast to the still photographs to cover up their magic marker drawings. And then some gentleman debunked all of it, and he saw it. He was able to bring it all out. So can you picture in your mind these highly skilled, nerdy guys from NASA using a Sharpie to color and cover up what they don't want you to see? A Sharpie, a black magic marker. Do you think that they could have got a little more technical? For God's sakes, a 5-year-old could have did a better job. We have a lot of things going on in and around our world. It's time that we start paying attention. We start waking up. And as I spoke yesterday in our live stream, this is your awakening. This is the time to start absorbing all of this information. It is time to start understanding what is happening. Is it scary? Yes. All of this is scary. We're called fearmongers simply because we're investigating something that has to do with the destruction of our planet, the destruction of humanity. And people want you to think that we're just sitting here lying to you, when in fact all we are trying to do is bring the information to you that we are investigating. It's that simple. We already know that nobody's going to step up to the podium in a press conference. You know, someone that's important, like the president of a country, people in the military, leaders. They're not going to step up there and tell you what is exactly happening. They're going to continue to deceive you. Why? We've talked about that before. They do not want to lose control. There are so many things going on around the world right now. They are losing control. They don't want you to have the information. That's the bottom line, everybody. They don't want you to have the information. They want to keep you dumbed down. And you could already see the push against this so-called fake news. Well, the only fake news I see is in mainstream media. It's already been proven. But yet we have a lot of good people out there on YouTube and different internet websites that are actually doing the research and actually investigating, and they are coming up with answers. They're trying to get the information to you. All you have to do is jump on board, get yourself involved, read the information. If you don't understand something, send us an email, ask the question, keep your eyes in the sky. Keep your eye on everything that is going on around you. One thing that's very concerning are troop movements of the military. We've been seeing that for a couple of years now. All of this troop movement around the world, specifically here in the United States. The other day, a man posted a video, and he was videotaping all of these trains coming through his state of Pennsylvania. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but continuously. These trains were full of military equipment. Okay, we've seen that. But this time, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't tanks and Humvees. It was large bulldozers. The big, gigantic earth-moving bulldozers and scrapers. And the scraper is something that is a big, heavy piece of equipment that's used to plane roadways before they're paved. They're all camouflaged. I saw the video. What use does the U.S. military have for hundreds and hundreds of bulldozers and road scrapers and excavators Also, on these trains were massive generators the size of shipping containers. And then the video goes into showing you where they were staging this equipment, staging it and getting it ready for deployment in the drop of a hat. We've all heard about Jade Helm and Cascadia Rising or Falling or whatever they called that PSYOP, and UX 16. These military drills, they're getting people used to seeing military operations in and around your towns and your cities. And then they want you to look towards these people in the military during these catastrophic events. They want you to look to them for help. But in actuality, they're baiting you into a very, very bad situation. FEMA camps are all over the United States. They've removed a lot of the information from the internet. But people that are basically backing all of this, they keep uploading it. Don't be fooled by the disinformation campaigns. Don't be fooled by any of it. You stay tuned to the Nibiru channel and Planet X News. Each and every day, we're going to try to come out with more of the scientific proof and evidence from professionals, not just me. We're bringing these people on board for a reason. That is to legitimize what we're researching and what we're investigating and what we're talking about. Just not a YouTube video with some pictures scrolling across the screen. We're going to try to dip into actual facts of what's happening. And hopefully we get to the bottom of it. But our hands are tied. You know, each and every day they try to fool you and smear me and other investigators. But it doesn't work. But ladies and gentlemen, it begins with you. You, the viewers, the subscribers, we the people. I've been looking into this now. This is my 14th year. My channel's only been on YouTube for less than a year. I've devoted all of my time, all of my effort to finding out the truth. And yet I'm ridiculed, I'm kicked in the teeth, I'm threatened. And if you ever think deeply about that, why would someone threaten to kill a man who is simply on YouTube investigating something in the solar system? You know, I mentioned this last night in the live stream. I had some psycho leave a comment in yesterday's video stating that he would like to stab me and rip my guts out and leave them laying on the ground. Yeah, I reported it to YouTube. They won't do anything about it. But if I make a parody video about some individual that was creating problems for me and my family, well, bingo, I get a policy guideline strike and they stop my channel from uploading videos for 14 days. Sounds kind of suspicious, don't you think? But yet it's okay for these idiots to publish personal information about all of us all over their YouTube channels, and then YouTube does nothing about that. But put a little parody video up about them, and you get kicked in the balls. Whose side are they on? The side of justice? Huh. Give me a break. These big corporations and the elite, they all suck. They're all in it together. So therefore, we need to band together, we as common people. Whenever there's no food, do you think Walmart's going to open the door and say, come on in? We'll give you all of this for free. We are humanitarians. You've given us your money for years. Now let us help you. Yeah, don't hold your breath on that. Is there going to be anybody out there to help you? Probably not. You're going to have to look to your neighbor, your friends, your family members. You're going to have to look to humanity. You're not going to find this help from leading officials and agencies within your country or your state. They're going to look to take advantage of you. We need to survive. We need to help each other. I just want to end this with this thought, and I'm just asking, when you see these people in the comment section of these videos that I produce or any other channels that you watch, when you see these people with their abusive comments, you have two choices. You could be quiet and silent, passive, or you could let your blood boil and you could rip into these people. But pay very close attention to what they're saying, because you'll be able to read between the lines. You'll be able to see how they're trying to deceive you. That will raise your blood pressure. And then you have to go on the attack. Don't threaten them like they threatened me with violence, stabbing me and cutting my guts open to spew them onto the floor. Yeah, listen, if I had that guy in front of me, I'd give him the knife. I'd let him take his best shot. He better do a damn good job. If not, well, we'll just leave that out of this video. But when you see these people attacking others, stand up for them. Stand up for yourself. Rip into them a little bit. Don't let them dumb you down anymore. It's time for us to stand up for everyone, each other. This is our awakening. Time to open up our eyes, open up our ears, open up our minds. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel, Planet X News. Stay tuned, stay updated. Thank you for watching. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel. I'd like to welcome all of you back. And in a couple of days, we are going to be back uploading and broadcasting from the Nibiru channel. The royalty at YouTube has decided to suspend our uploads for 14 days. So we are about 10 days into this already. So within the next couple of days, we will be back to uploading all of our informational videos onto our main channel. I do highly recommend that you subscribe to Planet X News. Make sure you set your notifications, because we're also going to be broadcasting live on Planet X News, and we're also going to be uploading additional information and videos on this channel. So make sure that you subscribe, set your notifications, because over the last couple of days, I've been getting a lot of emails from subscribers of mine that have been telling me that they're not receiving notifications, and some of the European viewers are having a hard time finding the channels and the information. So we're not sure, once again, if this whole censorship crap has started again, but I guess we will find out sooner or later. But the information that I'm going to bring to you today is an article that was written by a researcher back in, I believe, 2015. And we're going to go ahead and get to that information in a minute. I'm just setting some things up right now. But over the last couple of days, a lot of things have happened within, I would say, my little Nibiru Planet X community. I've spent the last several days educating myself on brown dwarf stars, and also continuing to dig for information on Planet X, if that's what you want to call it. I guess whenever you start to research things like this, you have to start from the very beginning. You cannot just jump right into this and think that you're going to find everything that you need. One thing that I've found is that there is a tremendous amount of disinformation that has been passed along for quite some time. We're getting to the bottom of it. I have gotten together with professionals, so I'm able to get professional information. I'm not a physicist or an astrophysicist or an astronomer by any means. I would consider myself to be an intelligent individual. I've teamed up with several people, as I've mentioned last night in our live stream. We're going to be producing credible scientific papers and research that is being conducted on brown dwarf stars in and around our solar system. Now, the team that I'm assembling, well, these individuals are not the only ones that are investigating brown dwarf stars. As I mentioned last night, this investigation has been going on for probably the last 10 years. The last 5 years, it has been very in-depth. The information will continue to flow in. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And we're going to get into an article that I found just yesterday. This was on Global Research. I'll leave a link in the description box later on for this article if you'd like to go through it yourself. Read it. It's very in-depth. Now, the information provided here is going to take you through a step-by-step on the Nemesis solar system, the theories, the people that were involved, very in-depth. So we'll just go right into this. It states, speculating and theorizing about the existence of yet undiscovered planets in our solar system has been bounced around for centuries. Prior to each discovery of another outer planet has come to detections of other anomalies in our solar system. And for instance, before Neptune's existence was determined, for decades, astronomers had been theorizing that Uranus, discovered in 1781, had irregular movements. They may have been caused by the presence of yet another undiscovered planet. Indeed, that was the case in 1846 when Neptune was first sighted and identified. And then it goes on to talk about Pluto being dethroned by the Astronomical Society. They kicked Pluto, poor little Pluto, they just kicked it right out of the solar system. But getting back into Planet X research, ladies and gentlemen, you know, way before we were involved in this Planet X research, placing it into social media and on YouTube, there were scientists with incredible educations and huge IQs that were investigating and researching this. Now, going all the way back to 1940, Chilean astronomer Carlos Muñoz Ferrada predicted accurately that the powers that be would attempt to cover up Planet X when it comes barreling towards the Earth. Ferrada referred to Nibiru Planet X as a comet planet because it had the size of a planet, but the speed and the elliptical orbit of a comet. Now, we haven't been able to really get into Carlos Ferrada's research, all of his scientific papers. I mean, that would be fantastic to have a group of physicists or astrophysicists, astronomers, actually take all of his work for all of those years and go through it now in 2017. I'm sure that NASA has probably gotten their hands on this